I don't have to do a game. Oh.
We get time.
This game recap. Oh, I'm sorry. Was that out loud?
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Tiger Minor League Report podcast, presented by nobody at the moment. I just wanted to explain that little going on because I had a couple of people DM me about basically what was going on with the audio feed, and we're still in adjustment we're still part of the Believe Network, but we're moving over to Just Baseball, and we're just in the period of transition. So this week's podcast will be up, I assure you, and so. Just wanted to get that disclaimer out of the way because there's a good amount of people, Chris, who still listen to us on the audio side of things.
Yeah. Well, that's how I listen. I don't watch podcasts or shows. I'm an old man.
Yeah.
However people want to do it, we want to get our voices out to them. But.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like I said, it's just trying to get this whole thing straightened out once and for all. So it's on the works. And also, it's not a way to start the podcast. I am, rest assured, folks, it's been a great day. Like, I did a lot of stuff today. And thank you for all, by the way, happy Memorial Day. Thank you for all who have served. We are much appreciated. And this is including the Space Force now. So that was really cool to see during the MLB. They were talking about all the armed forces, and the Space Force seemed like the new one they added on there. So.
My cousin is a lieutenant colonel in the Space Force. She was in the Air Force, so she's pretty high ranking in the Space Force. Yeah,
I did not know that. That's pretty cool.
I don't know what goes into the average day of somebody in the Space Force, but whatever. Yeah, thanks for your service.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to find out. But what has not been interesting is Tigers baseball. This last week or so, it's been a bad stretch of baseball. The Tigers come in currently they just broke a 8-game losing streak, and it was just one of those things where you have to kind of. I understand people's frustration, and I understand that. Like, I had a little venting session yesterday for people on Twitter or X or whatever, and. They let their frustrations out. Like, when's Seal Perez going to get cut? All those things. And just honestly, Chris, like, you have to, I understand people's frustration. I do understand that. It's just, but the question is, who are you going to replace them with? That's, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, we see this a lot because we post clips of Anderson or Valencia or Clark or Melger or anybody in Toledo doing something. And then people would be like, oh, what do you know? But we have Witzel Perez. And it's like, AJ Hinch came out and said it's not that easy. It's more you've got roster implications, and people take that to think like, oh, they're too scared to let go of Zach Short, and that's just not the case. The way it is right now is with all these injuries, they literally do not have anybody else to play shortstop. It's McGonigal and Zach Short, and then after that, emergencies. Right, like Zach McKinstry is clearly something's wrong with his hip. They haven't let him play shortstop for an inning this year. They're not comfortable with Workman there. They haven't played him there. And then after that, you're like, it's like how you leave. Now, Trey Cruz is on the way back. He played some rehab games last week. I think that he will probably come up at some point. Who knows if they're comfortable playing him at shortstop, but he can play shortstop. We've seen him do it at a fairly high level. And so I think that creates a possibility, and he's on the 40-man, right? So that creates a possibility where you could cut Zach Short and send Witzel Perez down and bring Trey Cruz up, something like that. They really were into a corner right now where when you've got your, Javi Baez and Parker Meadows, so your two center fielders are out, right? You've got, and Baez is like your second shortstop, and then Trey Sweeney's been on the IL the entire time, so that's your third shortstop. He's out. Trey Cruz is hurt. That's your fourth shortstop. They bring in Paul DeYoung. He gets hurt. He's out for the year. They just really, as much as we all know, like, I don't think they're under any delusion that Zach Short's a great baseball player or that Winslow Perez is performing, right? They just don't have any other options right now. But this little period of not having any options will be coming to an end soon.
Yeah, and look, it's one of those things too, where like every time you try to bring up the fact that injuries play a factor, no, they don't. How do they not? But then, somebody was asking about why Zach Short over anybody else, and Chrissy logically explained it the best way possible. But then again, there's also what other, I guess, other people that are out there that they could replace them with. Like, what about somebody was asking about Andrew Navigado? Navigado is not a shortstop, just MLB shortstop, I guess.
It is. Most teams, unless you're the San Diego Padres, you don't have 9 shortstops ready and willing to play, right? Like the Padres built their whole team out of shortstops. And you know what? Like, if you look at the drafts for the last few years, it seems like the Tigers are kind of liking the idea of just drafting tons of shortstops. You've got guys down in the minors. Some people wanted to bring up John Peck. And I think that's just a bridge way too far. He's got like 5 walks and like 65 strikeouts this year. And he's got like 8 or 9 errors. Like he's got some potential. He's an exciting player, but there's, if he came up, it would be pretty ugly, I think. And so, yeah, they're just, you have to go get a replacement player, and that's Zach. And until somebody else comes up, and like I said, Trey Cruz should be healthy soon, and we'll see what happens then. But and then it's not all injuries, obviously, right? Like a lot of the injuries were on the pitching side, and the pitching has managed to kind of stay afloat, at least the starting pitching. But it's certainly a big part of it, and I don't know. It's obviously very, very frustrating for fans, and I understand that they've been playing terrible baseball. I don't think, and I've already seen people talk about like, oh, who you could trade Skubal for, and it's like I'm not ready to do any of this. I don't know if people remember the last 2 seasons of Tigers baseball. You may remember a miracle run to the playoffs 2 years ago and a miracle collapse last year. I don't know what the opposite of miracle is, but. Strange things happen in baseball, and it's still only May. You've got 2 months until the trade deadline. Let it play out, at least for another month.
Yeah, I mean, it is. You can't. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, you try to approach this with logic, and it's hard because everybody's just kind of like having the freak out kind of moment. And yeah, you're right. It is a long season. We saw the Twins fail. We saw the Tigers fail last year. Tigers failed too. Yeah. It's well, you just said that too, and so
it that's not necessarily a great talking point for like saying, hey, they might turn it around this year. I don't think they're this bad. I don't think there's any way in hell that they're this bad. There are some very difficult players on this roster to evaluate. Like, I don't know what the hell you do with Spencer Torkelson, right? 30 home run year last year, awful the year before, 30 home run year before that, awful the year before, been pretty awful this year. At a certain point, you kind of have to move on. It's like you don't want to do it too soon, right? Because that 30 home run power is there. So it's tough. You got Colt Keith, who I'm thinking now is also injured, just based on there was that one game where Hinch said he wasn't 100%, and it would explain a little bit of why he's not basically using his legs at all in the swing.
That makes a lot of sense. That would make a lot of sense. Yeah.
And I just think somebody like Keith and McKinstry, I think they're probably both hurt. It would normally be on the IL, but the Tigers have so many injuries that they're just gutting it out. And you still have 3 of the better hitters in the American League in McGonigal, Green, and Dingler right now. And we've lost. Rod just muted himself, but it's just I'm not ready to give up on the season. I don't think the Tigers, as an organization, are. I don't think the players are. And do I think they're a good team? Probably not. Most good teams don't go through like a 4-16 stretch. But the Tigers aren't even the roughest team in baseball right now. I don't know if you've noticed, the Cubs have lost 9 games in a row. The Cubs. Yeah. Now, they started in a better spot, so it's not as ugly for them. But like sometimes everything goes wrong. Baseball is one of those weird sports. Like, not every other sport has this, right? It's kind of like the equivalent of standing at the free throw line. Like, there's that level of pressure, but on every pitch. And it's I don't know how to describe it other than we've all been there 2 years ago when the Tigers, it seemed like they just knew they were going to win, right? Like everybody in the stadium feels it, everybody on the team feels it, and it just you kind of manifest it. There's some, you don't want to call it magic, right? But but we're a communal species, right? We humans get together in groups and do things, and you feel things together. Like you go to a comedy special, and it's better when there's a lot of people there. Or you go to a funeral, and it's sadder because there's all those people there, and you feel it. And so, like, I'm sure everybody else felt it. The first game against the Orioles, it's like I wasn't predicting that Kenley Jansen was going to give up that walk-off home run, but you could feel it. You could feel it coming. You felt like something was going to happen, and that's this collective energy that happens. And in baseball, it goes both ways, and I don't know how to get rid of it, but it's clearly infected the Tigers locker room, and maybe that win yesterday will help them get out of it. But you never know until it happens.
Yeah, and I know that people are trying to figure out what roster combination. I almost said lobster. Roster combination would work.
Ding, 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 ding.
What do you run out there? I mean, an exorcism would be nice. And look, as far as like, Jonathan, I'm with you about Max Anderson. I think Max Anderson at this point deserves a call up. There's this easy thing about like, well, who do you replace him with? I mean, does Lee go back down? I don't know. Anderson is a line drive hitter, and Chris, we've talked about this. He is, as far as like looking at some of the advanced numbers of what he can do, hitting velocity, it's not there. Advanced spin might be a problem because he's such an aggressive hitter. Doesn't walk often enough, and that level. Well, you need to hit for power. If you can hit for power, that'd be an excuse. You can bring him up and get in there. But as far as metrics go, Ben Malgeri is your next likely candidate based off those metrics they look at.
Yeah, and
I would think.
With Malgeri, and this is again one of those situations that where I always have a hard time shaking my initial perception of him is that he's got all the tools, at least at that average level, and is a good player. But I always felt like he wasn't going to be able to hit big league sliders, and that would make him far from the only player. Like I don't know if Gabe Workman has contacted a slider yet in the big leagues, but I mean he can play all three outfield positions. If Max Anderson could play shortstop, he would have been up a month ago. Instead, he's a third baseman, second baseman, and probably no better than how you lead defensively, and doesn't walk like you said, and doesn't really have any speed. It's people. I understand that the desire to just try something, but again, he's a guy who's not on the 40-man roster, so you do have to clear a spot for him. So, do you cut Jace Young? Do you cut Gage Workman? I mean, you could cut Gage Workman, right? I don't think you want to cut Zach Short yet because again, they don't have anybody else to play shortstop. So they're just in this really tough spot. I do think we'll see Max Anderson at some point this season, maybe soon. But it's just they need to get some bodies back before they can start cutting guys and then swapping guys in and out. Like Winslow Perez has options; they can send him down once they get another outfielder. They're down 6 outfielders too, right? Like Meadows, Carpenter, Jahmai Jones doesn't play outfield. Like I could see cutting him too. But I don't know. It's a really tough spot. I understand the people wanting to get rid of everybody. And I do think that'll start happening in the next few weeks, but it's just they're just trying to survive right now.
Yeah, and there's as far as like the sign some players, make some trades. Adam, I think it would be, Nick, that's actually not a bad idea. If you're going to bring up Anderson to put Colt on to get him healthy, that's not a bad idea. I
mean, if you put him on the 60-day, I guess you could bring up Anderson. Or
here's a question. Thomas, he said, why is the Tigers hitting coach not a job on the line? They just hired new coaches. They just fired the ones they had from last year. That was a problem.
So, I mean, Berdar has been there, right?
Yeah.
Beauregard left on his own accord. And the thoughts that were there was he wasn't particularly happy with the way Scott Harris kind of blamed the collapse last year in the end of season press conference, kind of put it on the offense, right? When it was really a full team effort. The offense did collapse, but and so they brought in with Cody Ashe from the Orioles and somebody else. I don't remember. James Rosen left for the Yankees a couple years ago. So, yeah, it's I don't know. Firing hitting coaches and things like that are always kind of more symbolic than functional, right? Like they're not just 3 coaches going into this telling you guys how to hit. And, you're down there fairly frequently. I'm down there occasionally. You go down there early, they're taking batting practice every day. They're working on their fielding every day. There's no lack of effort. There's no lack of like information. Sometimes it's just not working. And I get the desire for like a pound of flesh, but I don't know if that will make it better. It might make you feel better, but I don't think it's going to make the team better.
Yeah, Nick, there might be a situation where Glaber hits a 60-day, but it makes sense why his numbers he still wasn't healthy from his surgery beforehand. I mean, it just seems like that was the case. You know, it still lingered. We don't know for sure, when
did Glaber go on the IL? Because when he had that setback supposedly, which is not great.
Yeah, setback. He had a setback. Was it Saturday? I think it was.
So yeah, that's a good option there.
Threw out the first pitch. He threw out the first pitch for the Royal Oak Leprechauns because DJ LeMahieu is the manager of the Leprechauns. So shout out to the Royal Oak Leprechauns, who are the semi-pro baseball team in town off Woodward. It's Adam. I think you summed it up very well. I feel bad for you guys because I'm tortured by this team. At least it's not my job.
So.
Look, yeah, by the way, thank you for anybody who donates and checks out our Patreon and all that stuff. It's much appreciated because right now, I just don't want to yell. You've got pushed. Yeah, so I think it was the end of April for Glaber, by the way.
So yeah, I mean, I was looking. So I mean, yeah, you could definitely if I could definitely see that. That makes sense. I've been thinking about this, right? About what makes baseball great, and also what makes it particularly excruciating when teams are bad. And I've got a strained metaphor, and I don't ever swear on this show, but I think I need to kind of really hit home this metaphor. And people always say, baseball is a marathon, not a sprint, right? And that's what's great. Like you have a terrible May, you've got 4 more months to make it up. The issue when a marathon becomes an issue when at mile 3 you break your leg and you shit your pants, and you have to complete that marathon. You can't quit. So you're just hobbling along with one leg in your own waist for the next 25 miles or so, right? Like that's what makes this so painful. It's like there's nothing. They got to keep playing. You can only play your way out of it. And if they keep playing this poorly, then yes, you gotta tear it down a little bit and sell off what you can, and it'll make it the most important year. 12 months, 6 months, however you want to say, of Scott Harris's tenure. But I don't know. I don't know if the leg is broken yet, but it does feel like the Tigers have soiled themselves, and it's just a matter of how long they can run before the chafing gets too bad.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. There's no other way to put it better. And look, the bottom line is like they're streaking right now. It's coming out of the pants. It's bad. It's really bad.
Yes, they've gone on a negative run for sure. But again, I don't think they're this bad, right? Like I don't know why I feel that way. Like the bullpen has not been great. It feels like it really does feel like whenever they make a mistake, they just get maximally punished for it, right? Like McGonigal makes that error the other day, and then boom, 3-run homer. It just doesn't. It feels like they're rarely getting away with these mistakes. They're making too many mistakes in the first place. So I don't know, man. It just feels like things have to level out a little bit. But we'll see. Just try to play solid baseball for a month or so, and we'll reevaluate. But I understand people being very upset because this has been a very unpleasant month.
Yeah, this is one of the worst months they've had in a while. They're 5-17 now, and there's not really a thing where the amount of times I've been looking at Toledo. I've been watching a lot of Toledo lately. They'll tread water until people get healthy. It's pretty much where they're at right now. The Blue Jays. Yeah, you mentioned the Blue Jays, and what was the other team we talked about this the other day, Chris? The Braves. Remember the Braves a few years ago?
After last year, right? Didn't we talk about
Yeah.
Sometimes teams it just doesn't work. And the comparison from Tigers history is 2008 and even 2015, right? Like these were teams that were supposed to be good. They looked good on paper, and then things just start rolling the wrong way. And it's really hard to come out of that. And you hope that it's not too late. But I don't know. I'm not ready to throw in the towel yet. I understand why some other people are, but
yeah, I'm not either.
Still too early for me.
Yeah, same here. Look, the bottom line is this: like, I like to, if it's the, as far as like the end of June goes, and they're 15 games back or 20 games back or whatever the case is, then But look at. I just watched. I watched Cleveland today. Tyner Cleveland. What's his Bybee?
Tanner Bybee.
Yeah, Tanner Bybee. A lot of 5 home runs. Cleveland's not running away with this division at all. This division is bad, and Tigers, and it's a thing where all you got to do is just go on a winning streak, get your shit together, essentially, and go from there. I'm not saying the Tigers are going to come back and win the division, but there is an ability to them to come back, and you need that towel to wipe your rear.
I hope I didn't set this off for the entire episode, but I get it. No, I mean, like, I think I was mentioning this in the Discord the other day, but Tampa Bay has the best record in the American League, right? Their offense has been better than the Tigers this year, but they're not. It's 15th in WAR on Fangraphs, and their pitching is the exact same as the Tigers. It's like literally they're 15th, the Tigers are 16th, 5.1 WAR to 5.0 WAR, but there's like a 20 game difference. It's baseball is super weird, and all I can say is that for as bad as it's been, it could be good again soon, maybe.
It was funny. Can anybody on this roster play through minor injury? I seriously question some of these boo-boos are. Guy, look, come on.
Okay. So did you see Javi Baez's injury where his ankle went the wrong way? We saw Kerry Carpenter run into the wall. It was kind of pathetic in a way that he missed the ball and ran into the wall like that, but clearly he hurt himself. McKinstry has the muscle torn off his hip, I believe. Isn't that the word there? Other minor injury, like Troy Melton, I don't think was necessarily a huge injury, right? But they wanted to be super careful because he's a pitcher. And how nice was it to have him back?
Oh my God. That start was insane. And they needed a start like that.
Yeah. And that's like, they've gotten, we've talked a bunch about how good Montero has been for them and how big Madden was in his few outings. But, you got to take precaution with guys so that they don't get more hurt. Now this Glaber thing, that's a perfect example of that. And I just saw, I think Cole Reagans threw a bullpen and then did not feel great after it. So he may not be coming back for the Royals. It's, professional athletes are always injured. They play through, I don't know how often they're 100%, maybe 2 games a year. So it's just a matter of how much they can handle. Yes.
Yeah. By the way, Dan, thank you for the $2. Appreciated. Baseball voodoo and bad umpiring. When is it Kerry? Thomas brings up a good point, though. I mean, when is Kerry injured?
So, but that brings up the point, right? So a lot of people are upset with Scott Harris for not signing more bats in the offseason. And, we talked about that.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted Bregman or somebody else. But it's like, who do you give up on from last year? We knew McKinstry and Baez were not going to repeat what they did, but then you got Keith, you got Carpenter, you got Dingler, you got Green, you got Meadows. Like these are all guys that I think you want to stick with. You don't want to necessarily get rid of right away. But that's, I think, the hardest thing to me in baseball is properly evaluating your own players. Self-scouting, right? Like the guys that you've signed or you've watched. Like it's hard enough for us as guys who watch these prospects. Like we latch onto these prospects when they're in the Florida Complex League, and we like them and we want them to succeed. Now imagine you've given these guys money and you want them to succeed. It's just really hard to look at a player and be like, no, this is not going to work, or we can do better. But you got to be good at it. You got to do it. And I just, it's tough for me to have looked at last year's roster and said, okay, we got to upgrade Kerry Carpenter and Spencer Torkelson. But they probably should have, but they didn't.
Yeah. As far as Torkelson goes, I don't really know what to say about that anymore. Like it's one of those, about Valencia. Somebody had a question. I think I was on Twitter about Valencia, about him being a possible replacement. They might do that. Sooner than later, but defensively, you've been warned.
Well, yeah, that's the thing is that people are always like, oh, come on, it can't be worse. And it's like, well, and we'll talk about the Whitecaps. It can get worse. Things can get worse at all times. So I don't know. It is a very much be careful what you wish for. I've posited that this is a monkey paw situation where somebody out there had a monkey paw and wanted Verlander to come back to the Tigers, and this is everything that has happened since as a result of that. There's also the theory that we're just living in the simulation of some Indians fan or Guardians fan, I should say.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, as Dan said, it's just voodoo and bad umpiring sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's like it is a thank you, Gordy. I appreciate that. You guys are goated. I feel very nervous about the future of the season and your future for the Tigers. I feel like there's 70% chance they put 15% as we sell. Look, yeah, and Gordy, well, shout out to your production skills. I don't. The thing is that like already we have to as writers, whatever we are, there's one thing that's going to come up in the next month or so until the trade deadline. Derek Skubal going to be traded. They're going to trade. Even Win Henning's on it already. Win Henning. Oh, well, we know. Here's intelligence report. He's already telling everybody Tigers should trade everybody. What the fuck is that? Like, pardon my language, but what is that? Like, that's really? Like, thanks, Lynn. Cool. That's intelligence. It's not intelligence at all. That's just you're just like the Haymans of the world. That's fine. You want to do that? Go right ahead, man.
Yeah, I mean that's Lynn's standard operating procedure is he's always kicking the can down the road, which is odd for a man of his advanced age. Not that he's old or whatever, but yeah, I don't know. Like you got to come to that point at some point. You would think that there would be some pretty strong offers for Tarek Skubal. I don't really want to think about it yet. Yeah. You also have Casey Mize, who's pitching very well this year, that you could potentially move. Framber Valdez, aside from the blow up start, that's still a fairly attractive contract for a pretty good pitcher on most nights. He pitched well the other day. They have some trading pieces. I know some people want to get rid of Riley Green, or not want to, but say you'd be a trade asset. I don't think Scott Harris wants to tear everything down. I think if, just based on everything else he's done, if they do end up selling, I don't think it will be a full house cleaning like that. It will just be small, measured moves, right? Yeah. If they trade Skubal, they'll be getting a pitcher that they think can help next year, among other prospects. And they may ultimately just decide that they want to keep going with Skubal, give it a go, get the most out of them you can, and take the draft pick. So we'll see.
But as far as that goes, I mean, I think I look at it this way. As far as what the minor league, Harris should not be blamed because the amount of injuries that are in the minor leagues. I mean, they have you think as an organization, I think Tigers Truck Oil put this out, 65 guys on the IL. 65. What you can blame on the Tigers is perhaps, I don't know what you can blame on the Tigers exactly. Some of the pitchers that they drafted immediately had to get surgery, so maybe they knew that, and I think that was the case with a couple of them, correct?
Yeah, well, River Hamilton, they knew had to get surgery. I don't know if they knew, and Massey was injured as a junior. I don't know if they knew that he needed surgery right away or not. You would think that they know about this pretty quickly, but yeah, I mean, we talked about it, we wrote about it, that something seems to be wrong with the injury prevention in the organization. Whether it's just a string of horrible luck or they need to completely reevaluate their process, it's tough to know. But yeah, you could only have so many backup plans. I don't know if it was George or whatever who said he never wants to see Trey Sweeney again. That's fine. I think I would prefer Trey Sweeney to Zach Short. Maybe not. Right? But that's just where they are, right? This is you're trying to get by with the bottom 5 guys on your 40-man roster. Yeah,
I mean it is in terms of trying to scrap everything together as much as they can. This is why, like I said, I don't want to wave the white flag yet, because it has to be the end of June or July where, as far as just how much bad baseball we watched in our lifetime, it is
most
of our lifetime. By the way, I do like this comedy here. We've watched a lot of bad baseball in our lifetime. And this stretch is bad, but I've seen worse. I mean,
that's what makes it feel so bad is the expectations, right? That's why I go back to 2008. What I don't know what Lady Castillo is saying there, but
she said a lot.
A lot of bad baseball. Yes. Yes. Yes, far too much. But without the darkness, the sunshine wouldn't be so bright, right? Am I right? Who
That's a good
knows?
way to
The
put it,
problem
yeah.
is when you're expecting sunshine and you get an eclipse, because that just makes it really hard. And when they're playing poor defense and the bullpen blows it when they do score runs, and it feels like you're rolling downhill and you can't stop it. But they won a game, they got a day off. Go get them tomorrow, right?
Yeah, and they have the Angels, who are, if you talk about a team that's on the other side of the spectrum of disappointment, the Angels are in bad shape. But the Angels always somehow play the Tigers very well. I don't get it, so I can't really say this is a guaranteed week or anything. Nothing's guaranteed.
Well, yeah, obviously, the Tigers need to go out there and they need to hit, which they don't do a ton of. And they need to pitch well, but
yeah, we'll see what happens.
Betting habits. Oh, yeah.
As far as Max Anderson ETA goes, they would have to make a 40-man roster move. By the way, that pitch he gave up, that home run he gave up yesterday, an 0-2 pitch.
Terrible pitch selection, terrible location. I don't know why he threw a sinker 0-2 down the middle. It's bad things. But again, you can do that. A lot of times you'll do that and get away with it in baseball, right? It's just sometimes you get away with stuff, and the Tigers don't. They haven't gotten away with anything lately, so maybe that'll turn around.
Yeah. Let's look at Toledo. Let's start with the Mud Hens, as the Mud Hens did finish the season, or they had everybody was playing today but the Tigers. So actually Toledo was the only one. I'm sorry, as far as my go, right? I did
not include today's stats on the Mud Hens sheet, except for Ty Madden's start. I thought that was worth mentioning. But there, Valencia hit a home run. They had a walk-off win today, but that'll be on next week's. The stats will be on next week's Joe.
The answer for everything is DFA short. Yeah, you know what? That's
as soon as they have another body at shortstop, they will. I promise you.
And the reason why Peck's not up here is because I think Peck, we saw the Harris, Stando here with the. He's always nibbler. Yeah, I think Stando's right on about that. Like, he's gonna stay the course. He's going to stay the course whether fans like it or not. And I have a theory about this. I started working on the article, but then I kind of backed off a little bit. I think the reason why Tiger fans are so frustrated with him is because, like, if you look at people historically speaking, people don't like a know-it-all, and people don't think that they think that Harris is a guy that comes across as smug, comes across abrasive. And so I think fans are irritated with that. And so when they see that, they're like, well, what is this guy? Why is he so smug? ... He's not charming or anything. And I think that's what it is. Even though the Tigers have been in the postseason back-to-back. That's the thing that kind of cracks me up a little bit is, by the way, I like this. Chris Socrates Brown. Yeah, that's
with the parable of the cave or whatever.
Yeah, that was good some stuff. But all right. Well, there's some good news on the way that Andrew Sears is rehabbing, and I think he should be back in Erie this week, I would think, right?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, he's so he pitched in FCL and then pitched in West Michigan. So maybe one more rehab start, but he threw 3 innings. And so, a lot of the guys have only pitched 4 or 5 innings so far. So I think he's probably ready to get up to Erie.
Yeah. Speaking of Erie, Lyle Lockhart is back. That was, I kind of sighed a little bit there because I was like, man, that's another R that would be gone. But look what happened to DSL, Chris. Look at that, man. Just decimated already. Good Lord.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I think that's when they had to put their rosters in. But yeah, those guys, of those names there, Anderson Diaz was a pretty fascinating guy. We posted a video or 2 of him last year. I think he was their highest bonus pitcher 2 years ago. Lefty with like low 90s fastball, and I had a fun, really slow, loopy curveball. But we saw one outing where his fastball was in like the mid 80s, and they took him out, and who knows what happened there. I'm assuming it's another elbow shoulder injury, but yeah, pitching's bad for you.
Yeah, there is the velocity has been, it's been bad. I like this too for Jonathan. Like, the Tigers, look, as far as Harris goes about building out the farm system and everything, look at Kevin McGonigal. That was his first draft, right? Second draft, or was it second draft?
Yeah, it was the first draft.
Yeah,
the hitters they took, that first draft class looks pretty good, right? Like McGonigal. One of the things I've been toying with tweeting and not tweeting or whatever is because of this May swoon, I don't think, and there's been plenty written about McGonigal, right? But I still don't think people quite understand what he's doing so far. He's got 2.8 WAR on Baseball Reference. Again, the most for a rookie position player in Tigers history was 6.5, and we're 1/3 of the way through the season. There have only been 9 position players in Major League history to post 7+ WAR as a rookie, and McGonigal's on pace to do that. And it's just and I still don't think he's even like fully weaponized.
No,
I think if he could stop laying off the pitch that's like 4 to 6 inches inside, and start hitting for, if he lays off that, then he'll probably start hitting for more power or taking more walks even. And I don't know, this guy's the limit with this kid. But in any event, yeah, that's Scott Harris's first draft. That's also Max Clark, Max Anderson, John Peck, Brett Callahan, Andrew Sears. It's a pretty good draft. Obviously only one of the guys has shown up, but it's 3 years ago. That's what you expect, especially when you invest in high schoolers at the top. So I don't know. We got to give him time there, but there's other aspects of being a general manager or president, right? Dave Dombrowski was never great at drafting, but he was the best trading GM of all time, basically. So you got to have your strengths. You got to be able to excel in multiple areas.
Yeah, not to mention too. I mean, we'll say this: Harris has created an infrastructure the Tigers never had before. People tend to forget about that too, but it is what it is. And I know people are you defending Harris. Well, there's a lot of cerebral evidence that he's done good. So again, it's just a bad stretch of baseball. Okay, let's move on to Toledo. And the Mud Hens are off to this week. They split with Indianapolis. The dumpster diving for pitchers, I agree, has not been really worth.
Well, I would argue
with Tyler Holton and
I would argue the pitching, just the pitching acquisition hasn't been good at all. Like even when they're not dumpster diving, right? When they're paying guys a fair amount of money, it has not been great. Kenta Maeda, Alex Cobb, Justin Verlander, like they haven't done a great job of going out and getting pitchers to help. So even the dumpster diving, beyond that, it's basically just pitcher evaluations that needs to take a step forward. But whatever.
Yeah.
Max Clark might be turning it on, might be flipping the switch.
Yes. And it was so funny. I was talking to somebody, what was I talking to on Twitter about? He just suddenly, this time of year, like that, just like once he figures things out, give him time, boom. Mm-hmm. And he figures it out. And so Clark he got another home run. He had a double in the same game. Well, it was opposite field double too. It was an impressive piece of hitting. And overall, as far as like the Mud Hens pitching is concerned, like Madden tonight start was good. So Gibson Long, Luke Sacco, I looked into him a little bit. The velocity is only like 92, 93, but he looks like a completely different pitcher since he got sent down to Erie. He's been striking out left and right. He has been very effective. He hasn't been walking guys. Does it play up in big leagues? I don't know. I think he has to have a little more velocity to it to play up a little bit, but his split finger has looked really good. Yeah, I mean,
the amount of swing and miss and strikeouts he's gotten is kind of off the charts. But again, it's one thing to do this to guys in AA and AAA, and it's a completely different animal. Do it in the big leagues. We saw the numbers that Ricky Vanasco was putting up in Toledo, and he's been kind of replacement level at the big leagues. So, but it wouldn't shock me if we see go at some point. I think he's a former prospect. He was involved in I think the Luis Ariz trade back in the day. So I don't know. There's something there, but who knows?
Yeah. It is again, the Tigers will probably maybe try and throw everything at the wall to see what sticks. So that's what I think is going to happen here. I mean, you're just going to continue to see arms. Yeah.
I wonder if at some point they might swap out Jones for Jelks. If you want a right-handed power hitter who comes in to hit lefties, Jelks can do that. And also Jelks has the third lowest swing and miss rate in the system this year, behind Clark and Edion Espinal. So, yeah, I mean, there might be something there. But again, like you said, they'll try all this at some point, but I don't know if they're quite ready to start jettisoning guys that they believed in.
Yeah, especially the one thing too is like when somebody was talking about Velasco getting the call back up again. I just didn't see anybody else that would. I mean, at some point, what's going to happen is they're going to probably put Sawyer Gibson long back in, or somebody else like that. But Carlos Hernandez, or the 5 minutes of Luke Jackson, or Carson Fulmer, who the Toledo hit up yesterday.
I think Fulmer was pre-Harris, but yes, these guys who just show up and they're here for an inning and then gone. Like there were several guys in the last 2 years that you look at last year, like, wow, I totally forgot he pitched. Was it Cody Hoyer?
I forgot about that guy.
Yeah. So I don't know, but yeah, somebody was talking about why get rid of Connor Siebold, and it was basically there's value in being able to take somebody, send them back and forth to Toledo. That's why Vanasco is still here and why Siebold isn't. That's it. Siebold had no options. Vanasco does.
Yeah. And at the same time, what's going to happen? What I think is going to happen here too is that at some point, and I think another arm from Erie or something like that's going to come about. We'll see. I don't know. Like there's bound to think that with some of these arms being injured and what have you, they're due to have some sort of luck. I mean, it's bound to happen. Yeah. So I wish I had a better explanation than that, but I don't. But anyway, and then as far as Clark Siebold make it through waivers,
he pitched fairly well in the big leagues. It wouldn't shock me if somebody nabbed him. I'm sure the Tigers would love for him to get through waivers again, but I imagine somebody's gonna, or they'll work out a small deal for cash considerations or something like that, right?
Cash, yeah, they'll find another way to, yeah. I can see the Reds doing. I don't know why I feel like the Reds would pick him up or somebody like that. I don't know. So we'll see what happens. I mean, yeah, maybe I don't know. Do you think it would be the Reds?
I have no idea. I mean, could be back to the Blue Jays where he was before. I don't know. I haven't paid attention to whose bullpen has been decimated by injuries this year, but you would think somebody would have a role for him.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, as far as the Bunheads go, is there anybody else you wanted to highlight, Chris?
Not really. I mean, Gibson Long pitched today as well and looked pretty solid, but I didn't put that in there. Yeah, I don't know. Nick Sandlin continues to look okay. He's another guy we might see at some point, slider monster. Brisky has not looked great, but he's healthy, it seems. So and he'll be off the IL in like another week or so.
Let's say his ERA was not good at all, and he's I don't want to say Brisky's over. I want to believe that he has something left in the tank, because he was so effective down the stretch a couple of years ago. But man, like at some point, yeah,
relievers come and go. It's unfortunate, but it's the way it is. And
what was that now? Right-handed relievers.
What's that?
What was that? What was the one you said about when they?
Right-handed like middle relievers are just the most numerous player in professional baseball. There's dozens of them at all times. Like Connor Siebold, they're getting cut by other teams or you. So
yeah,
I haven't looked to see what Dylan Smith is doing. Have you?
Not really. You know what? No, I haven't seen him I haven't looked in a while. I mean, I would think that there's always some Tiger fan that's going to bring him up. So, and the fact that he hasn't been brought up yet.
So he's with the Giants. Is he
AAA?
Let's see. He had 0.2 innings for the Giants this year, and looks like he walked one and threw a wild pitch. But he's in AAA for the Giants. Yeah, 4.41 ERA, 5.09 FIP, 10.4 walks per nine, 5.5 or 10.4 strikeouts per nine, 5.5 walks per nine. So again, these guys have good arms, and they're just somewhere in that little thin line between being effective and not being able to be a big leaguer.
Yeah. Well,
I guess the only other one I mentioned is Brian Sammons, who
that was
like a deep depth starter down the road. People remember him, but yeah, he threw one pitch and fell down, and it looked like he strained his groin or something and came out of the game. It's unfortunate.
That sucks. Yeah, and literally, it was almost the same injury like the Brant Herter, right? It almost looked like the same kind of like.
Yeah.
Although I don't know if was the ground bad or anything.
I don't know if it was bad or he just slipped or caught his cleat on the mound or what. You know, it's kind of unnatural going down the mound like that, and who knows what happened. Yeah, it was a bummer, but you know, they got it does figure. You know, they got Troy Watson back finally, and he had a nice 5-inning outing, and then they lose Salmons.
Yeah. But and look, and that's really good that Watson's coming back, and it was a guy who was very interesting before his injuries, and so like I said, I really would hopefully he can come back to what he was before. We'll see what happens there. So let's go on to Erie. Let's see here. Goals velocity, like I mentioned earlier, was 92.93. All right, so Seawolves, yeah, you know who's heating up? Tyron Lorenzo. And that's definitely look. Erie, look. Tony Capicelli has done a hell of a job with the roster he's been giving, with all the injuries they've had. Like Erie's been decimated. The rotation's been decimated, but offensively speaking, they've been able to stay in a little bit. But you know, tip of the cap at them. I mean, Brett Callahan's been still doing things. The number I'm encouraged about Chris is the fact that he is walking more than he's striking out, and that was something that he was not doing beforehand.
Yeah, I mean, overall in the season, he's still striking out more than he's walking, but he's walking plenty. He's walking more than enough to, you know, justify the strikeouts, right? And the power is there, and the speed is there, and the defense is there. So it's been a really nice year for him. He's definitely one of the guys in the system who's moving up on our lists, I think. How high he moves up, we'll see.
Yeah. So yeah, I look, I have him. I'm not gonna tell you how high I have him. I know you know how high I have them.
That's right.
But yeah, it's Detroit needs a spark. What a curious way to spell exorcism. Yes, Pat. Pat down. Shout out to Sean down in Tennessee. There.
Somebody else talked about an exorcism earlier too. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I said this earlier, and Chris, you've seen this.
Mm-hmm.
Like my dad's Cuban voodoo thing that's in the garage. I showed you that thing before, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to prove that, like. So we can't, I've talked to my wife about this. We can't take it out of there because you have to get it properly taken out. But I give that thing money. Like we've given that thing and it's helped Sarah land a job, you know, of course, thanks to you, of course, as well. But yeah, it is, you know, yeah. So you did see you did see a photo of Briseño taking BP earlier today.
And yeah, Emily found that on his Instagram. I believe.
Yeah. Look, yeah, the whole, anyways, that whole voodoo thing, that's there's some real things to that. So anyway, yeah, Big B being a prospect a couple years ago, yeah, man, that is weird to think that he was like we had him really high and then he got to Toledo and just went flat. But anyway,
yeah. Well, you know, that was we learned from that. I think we learned, you know, certain bat paths and certain people who live going to the opposite field and can't pull the ball. Teams. More advanced pitchers will take advantage of that, and that's something I learned from. And part of what makes me a little bit more skeptical about Max Anderson, because he's kind of the same type of hitter, although it's a different swing.
It's more like a line drive swing. I mean, yeah. But no, as far as the rest of Erie goes, the pitching has been Jekyll and Hyde. The bullpen there's been some spots in the bullpen that's been Miller still pitches well, Chris. I mean, Joe Miller is still, I still believe in Joe Miller.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's, you know, he's still a kind of a touch and feel pitcher, despite having, you know, increased stuff, the velocities there, but he still works the edges and he will walk guys rather than throw down the middle. And what happens, I've seen it a couple times this year where he ends up with like the bases loaded and then he just goes at guys and gets like 3 strikeouts. So, yeah, I mean, I still like him as a potential kind of left-handed reliever, or maybe emergency starter down the road. But it's been a nice development there for sure. He is older, but you know, takes time sometimes.
Wow, this is if it makes anyone feel better, the Braves keep saying Jarvis might be better than Ha-Seong Kim down here. Wow.
Yeah, that's, you know what, and I mentioned that first Harris draft, and that's not. I forgot Jim Jarvis. Another big leaguer. I forgot there's 2 big leaguers from the draft, and one of them was their 11th round pick.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty good draft.
Yeah. What has not been good though is West Michigan. Chris, every time I watch, so I've been watching primarily. I watch the upper minors. I've been watching I've watched Lakeland, West Michigan. Every time I go to sit down and watch West Michigan, they the team goes up 4 or 5 runs, and then the bullpen is a daily occurrence. This stat right here, lost 24 to last 26, 11 one-run losses, 5 2-run losses. Their bullpen cannot hold the lead to save their life.
Yeah, and it's somebody different every time. Jalen Evans has been really good out of the bullpen over the last month or so. But, and again, it's like what I talked about, where this thing just kind of creeps in, and it's suddenly you're just expecting it to happen. We've seen 2 games this year where it wasn't even the bullpen, really. It was the left fielder committing an error that caused them to lose the game. It's just there's a taint spreading from Grand Rapids to Detroit, and it's not fun to look at.
Yeah, there's something going down 96 and 96 to 94, or to Grand River to 94, depending on how you get downtown. Yeah, either way, it is. It's just another record-setting season.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't looked at it, but they have to have one of the 4 or 5 worst records among all the full season leagues. But yeah, and again, it's just kind of odd. Like, it's not like they're getting blown out consistently, or their starting pitching is terrible. Like they get some good outings, they score some runs. It's certainly not the team from last year. And again, this is another team that's suffering from injuries. Hayden is coming back. Jack Penny is coming back. That should help. But they've lost 4 outfielders, 5 outfielders, 6 outfielders. I don't know. So that'll help. Rayner he had an okay week. I did highlight he had a couple singles. One of them was 115 miles an hour, and the other one was 111. Like, when he makes contact, it's a rocket. But it's it's a learning year for him.
Yeah. By the way, Dom, yourself, some of these mock trades are so weak. That's why I say we're going to avoid talking about Derek School mock trades until an actual trade happens. That's a Rogelio guarantee right there. We're not going to bring it up. If we bring it up, if you guys want to bring it up in the chat, by all means, but I'm not bringing it up. I don't have the patience for it right now. And until the actual trade deadline, you know what? Within 2 weeks of the trade deadline. Anyway, sorry about that. Lucas Elso, I was going to ask you about that, Chris. I haven't had a chance to watch him pitch in a while. Is it just still trying to feel out of his stuff? Like you know what? It doesn't. I don't know. He's another guy that seems like he just gets absolutely punished every time he makes a mistake. But he's making a lot of them, and he's either kind of missing on the edge of the zone or throwing it right down the middle. And part of what made him successful was that fastball at the top of the zone. And when you miss that spot, people hit it pretty far. He's given up a fair amount of hard contact. He still gets the strikeouts. The walks are up a little bit. He just looks like a guy he's not a great pitcher yet to me, which is odd, again, because I thought he was a great pitcher last year without good stuff. And now this year he looks like he's got good stuff, but not so much good pitching. Still really young, right? He's 21, I think, maybe even 20 still. So he might just be a guy who takes a few years to, like we talked about with Kiter Montero, right? Like they always liked his stuff, and it just took him a long time to kind of put it all together. And so I could see Ellisalt being like a 2-year guy in West Michigan, but I still believe in the arm. Yeah, I do too. And I really think that there's some arms in West Michigan that I don't know what I don't know why I think that. I know why I think this. I think there's some potential in these arms in West Michigan. I just think it's a matter of, is it just a matter of time? Is it just, I don't know, but there's some arms in West Michigan that are so intriguing to me. Minton is one of them too. His strikeouts are getting better. I mean, that outing alone is why you want to, like, for him, he's been always notoriously more of a walk guy, right? I mean, he's not been.
Well, no, I think he may have walked some guys in his first year. Okay. I think, but I want to say like Baseball America had him as like the best command in the system. I think he threw a lot of strikes last year. It's more like he just doesn't. I don't know. He when he's not pitching well, he gets hit pretty hard. I think it's kind of like a sinker that doesn't miss a ton of bats, but he's always had pretty good breaking balls. I don't know. He feels like a depth starter in the org to me. Like kind of reminds me of Burhan, the guy that might just spend multiple years in Double-A. But we'll see.
Yeah. There's like I said, even with I know Castillo's struggling. The one arm that we mentioned is what the hell is going on with Gabriel Reyes? Yeah.
You know what's funny is like he's just walking everybody, but he's not giving up a ton of runs. It's like 7 walks and 2 strikeouts is absurd. And what were we looking at? I think it was 27 walks and 24 strikeouts on the season. Is that right? Oh, yeah. No. 23 strikeouts and 31 walks in 29 innings. So he's got basically a 7 strikeouts per 9 and 9.4 walks per 9. And yet it's a 4.25 ERA. I don't know. I don't remember him having strike throwing issues in Lakeland, but this is, maybe this is why they were reluctant to bring him up in the past. Like maybe they do something. There's stuff we can't see about his strike throwing ability, but I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's kind of a bummer with him and Castillo. We do, yeah. Like I said, I think we mentioned last week, 2 weeks ago, that you reminded me that sometimes it just takes these guys longer in West Michigan to get comfortable. So I thought Castillo's stuff was looking closer to what it looked like 2 years ago. His fastball was 93, getting up to 95 pretty consistently. The slider was like 82, 83. He doesn't seem to be holding it though. So I don't know. Maybe if he's got a future, it's in the bullpen. We'll see.
Yeah. And it's like I said, it's going to be, like I said, there's potential in these arms. I really think about that as far as like just maybe it's reliever kind of thing. So,
and Jacobs remains very exciting. That's, the South Bend is the best offense in the Midwest League, and he shut him down. Yeah. I think he starts tomorrow in Lansing.
By the way, we are
like to go see, but
yeah, I was gonna say we are overdue. We're gonna start going to more. June and July we're going to a lot more games, and I'm with the problem is I can't really go anywhere too much because the dog. I gotta find to watch the dog because
I don't know. And we keep going on work trips.
Yeah, no,
people would just pay us to cover minor league baseball for a living, then we'd fine. But
yeah, I'm not giving you guys a guilt trip or anything. Just saying.
No, these people have paid us at all is amazing to me.
Yeah. But, look, the fact that anybody, I'm just grateful we have a fan base. So thank you again, seriously. But go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
No, it's been tough this year to get out. The one time, so I did go to Lansing for a game earlier this year, and I got rained out. It was fun talking to those guys. I haven't been out to West Michigan yet this year.
Yeah,
I need to go there. It's tougher when I'm in Baltimore for a full week, and it's like you get home. I'm like, I don't want to go to Grand Rapids today, but we do. We need to get to Toledo. Well, Clark and Anderson are still there, but.
Yeah, we're gonna probably go to Toledo. Toledo would be easier for me to go to because at least it's like not, I could let the dog out, go, leave the dog here for a game. Toledo's like a 35-40 minute drive from where I'm at. But anywho, let's go on to Lakeland. Lakeland, the wave of the future in terms of pitching goes. They've been able to stay competitive. They've had some injuries too, but not as bad. But Espinal. Chris, talk about him a little bit because he's a 10th round draft pick and he's also appearing up on our list quite a bit.
Yeah. I mean, he's just keeps performing, and he's the kind of guy that, I compare him with like Eliezer Alfonso or Carlos Mendoza, except, he's hitting the ball pretty hard. I think his average exit velocity is like 90 miles an hour, which is above major league average. Now it's, low A. So, but he doesn't swing and miss very often. He's a switch hitter. He puts the bat on the ball. He walks. He hits the ball. Like, he hasn't shown a ton of in-game power, but it's in there. So it's a really interesting package offensively, and they're trying to teach him catch it. And it's okay right now. You can see the arm strength is there. I think his caught stealing rate is below 20%. But again, that's on the pitchers, and he's learning. He's got 5 pass balls, which is not great, but he's learning how to catch. Right. If he can become a viable defender, it looks like it's kind of a Liam Hicks starter kit, which is a bummer to think about Liam Hicks. Now Liam Hicks, I think, is mostly playing first base now, but just this sort of on base percentage driven catcher who can also, hit you a home run every now and then. So yeah, I mean, he's a guy that's very intriguing to me. I think it makes sense to keep him in Lakeland to work on the catching aspect of it. And, maybe they'll get him up to Rene Rivera at some point later in the season. But yeah, I mean, he's a guy that I think should be probably on prospect radars. I don't know what the ceiling is there, right? It's probably a backup catcher, but we'll see. We'll see what he does at higher levels. But yeah, so far it's been fun to watch. He's been a key part of that team.
Yeah, one thing I do like about Lakeland right now too is that they have a series of players that, as far as like the pitching prospect outside the pitching prospects go, the outfield has been a nice change of, I don't say change of pace, but McDonald a little bit of a quote unquote slow week. He's still putting up impressive numbers and enough to where you have to wonder when he's going to get the call up to West Michigan with all the injuries they've had. At some point, you would think in the next month or so. Yeah,
it depends on when whatever kind of benchmark they've set there, because the key weakness with him is the swing and miss, particularly in zone. I don't know if they think that that's something that he can fix, or maybe it gets to the point where, like, hey, they send him up to West Michigan to prove that he needs to fix it, right? Because it's like a 35% strikeout rate in low A. That's not going to work. But he's got so much power. He's got speed. He's a good defender. Like, there's a lot to like there. So if you can just kind of rein that in a little bit. But again, if it's in zone and it's swing and miss, I don't. It's kind of tough to deal with that. But this is a guy who was from. Was he from the Grand Rapids area? He's from Michigan, Kalamazoo maybe. Went to Bowling Green. Do I have that right? I don't remember. He went to a MAC school, so he probably didn't see a ton of advanced pitching. So maybe
Miami, Ohio. Went to Miami, Ohio, I think it is.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're right. So it just, yeah, maybe he just needs to see more advanced pitching and make some improvements there. But the tools are there. Same with Salas. Salas is an interesting young outfielder. Pinto, they all have like good tools, like on defense and offense. They're just all kind of raw. So it's kind of exactly what you want to see in low A, and you just hope some of these guys can take that next step forward.
Yeah. All right. As far as pitching wise, too, I wonder if when Howard is going to come back up to West Michigan.
I think he was promoted, or I think he's technically on the Mud Hens roster, and he's on a rehab assignment to West Michigan. But I assume that's where he's going to stay. But yeah, there was the game on Saturday. I think was rained out, and then doubleheader on Sunday was called early due to lightning or wet conditions. So they only played 5 games in the week. So Charlie Christensen didn't pitch, but everybody else pitched fairly well. Like Witherspoon was a bummer, right? He took 2 steps forward. The last 2 starts were really good, and then this was a step back. He didn't have it. He was wild, and he was giving up hits. Salcedo looked good. Cash Kuiper has started to look. He's looking better every outing, which is nice. He's touching 95 now with his fastball, his slider, and his changeup look pretty good. So he's interesting. And Grinzel, I don't think he started. I think he came in relief for Milton, maybe, or in that game. But he continues to pitch fairly well. I think hitters are kind of laying off some of his stuff now, the changeup below or the fastball up. So his walk rates are going up, but he's still not giving up a ton of hard contact. So that's good to see. Yeah.
Yeah. And it depends on where the Tigers want to do as far as like when this is the time I think it feels like this is the time of year where you're going to start seeing more call-ups. June, usually middle of June, right? That's when we usually see that. That seems like that's the case.
Yeah. Sometimes they do it shortly after the middle of June is when the first half of the minor league season ends. And sometimes they do it right after that, depending on, they want to keep guys to make for playoff push. Sometimes they wait until after the All-Star break or after the Futures game, like we saw with Clark and McGonigal a couple of years ago. But yeah, in the next probably 6 weeks, I think we're going to see a lot of player movement.
Yeah. And hopefully, why not sign Joan, play some Zach Short with him? But yeah, this team is taint.
Well, I mean,
Tainty Tigers. That seems like the name of this episode. I want to go to the White Sox game. Crypto, if I have the ability to, I might either it's going to be Toledo or the South. I'm doing the podcast, by the way. I'm going on a White Sox podcast tomorrow.
Nice.
So,
Crystal?
yeah, Crystal. Yeah, and I think you're up next after that. So,
is it going to be me or Ashley? Oh, whatever.
Yeah. James, wait, what? What'd you say?
Okay.
Huh?
I didn't know it was going to be me or Ashley.
No, it's going to be you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what she said. Oh.
Perineum.
Perineum. That's in between the. Yeah, I know.
I know. Just because I made a joke about the taint, it's insane. This guy's taint.
Yeah. I want to go to the White Sox game. That would be cool. All right. Anyway, let's move on and let's wrap things up with the FCL Tigers and Chris Rodriguez making a case to stay in the top 10. And
that H4 should be a home run, but yes.
Yeah, I know what you meant by that.
Yeah, he had a solid week. It's still a lot of swing and miss with him, but he's making a lot of good power contact, playing center field, stealing the occasional base. It's nice. De Los Santos had a pretty good week too, although no walks, 6 strikeouts, but then he stole 4 bases and he's hitting for more power. Denandres Colon had his first big week where he got a bunch of hits. They're playing much better. They started 0-7, I think it was, so they're 6-4 in their last 10. That's better, and part of it is the offense showing up. They did not start very well, but also you got some pitching. Our old buddy Yonan Koba, 1 hit, 8 strikeouts in 3 1/3. It's translating to the States, which is good to see. So that's exciting. Owen Hall is solid. He's given up some contact and some runs, but not walking guys, get some swings and misses. That's what you want to see. We hope to see Koba and Hall up in Lakeland later the year.
That would be ideal. It'd be Koba. Look, what's up? Oh.
Yeah, Deadly Ninja Beast did point out, and I didn't realize this. We do have a bushel and a peck. Those are 2 old timey measurements. We don't have a furlong or a hectare or whatever, but yeah. Or I guess there's a Rod. We've got Chris Rod and other Rods, so Rod is there. So yeah, there's a lot of old measurements. Sorry,
that's all right. And then the DSL Tigers are underway as well. Oh no, that's not it. But they're starting. They played the Braves this afternoon.
Was it actually? I thought it was a preseason game still.
So I'm sorry, the preseason. So it was that was on. It was just a game that was on today. So it was actually cool. It was on.
Yeah, I need to go back through that and look at it. It'll be the 3rd one we've seen. They had where they were playing the Toyo Carp, and they had one earlier than that. I forgot who they were playing, but yeah, they're getting ready to start their season, and obviously we saw those guys get thrown on the IL. But yeah, kind of 1/3 of the way through the big league season, slightly farther than that in the minor league season because it's shorter. But I think we're at that period where these teams are going to start to get a little bit more healthy, and so we might have a better idea of who they are. Yeah,
a better idea of the depth of the farm system is. By the way, the Houston Astros have combined with 3 pitchers, Tatsu Yami, and 2 relievers, no hit the Rangers.
Oh, I swear, I feel like Houston has a combined no hitter every year. I feel like they only throw combined no hitters.
Yeah, it's the first time that there's been it's the 18th no hitter in Houston history. So that's a good call, Chris. That's quite a bit of no hitters.
Well, Fromber threw one, right? Or we was part of a couple.
Yeah.
Let's see.
And then
of course Nolan Ryan.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing that Houston has better luck with the Tigers at least. Amber Santa, a 23-year-old Dominican right-hander making his MLB debut, secured the final 6 outs of the baseball's first no-hitter of any kind since 2024.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking. The Astros had a combined no-hitter in June 11th, 2003.
5th combined no-hitter in team history, right? Go ahead, continue.
Yeah, another one in 2019. Another one in 2022. 2 in 2022.
All right, so you're not crazy then.
In the one this year, so yeah, the 5 combined no-hitters. I feel like it always feels like they're combined. So
yeah, it's that's a good call. But one of the things that we will end the podcast with is that this week our draft or our top list will be done. I'm about to finish up mine. I did 40. I realized I was doing 50 or 60, so I'm gonna try to go to 50. So our list is gonna be done. We're gonna have all our reports done, and yeah, so our top 30 is gonna be set this week. So I'm pumped for that. I'm glad because it's just be one less thing. Not one less thing, but with all the healthy arms coming back or the healthy bodies coming back, I think that's going to be very helpful for our list. So Like I said, for all those listening at home or people potentially listening or watching tonight that are going to listen, we'll have this podcast up in the morning. But thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for tuning in. And also our draft coverage is going to be kicking up here. Not true. Draft is just a month away. Is it almost a month, like a month and a half away?
Mid July.
Yeah.
So yeah, a little bit more than a month away.
Yeah. I mean, it's today's going to be, it's May 25th and we're going to head into June. And finally, for those who live in southeastern Michigan, damn right, there's good weather. 7 weeks. Dylan Ninja Bees wants to know if you have your full mock draft done.
Negative. Although, I mean, I have set aside the handful of names that I think that fits the Tigers model, as you will. But I mean, this is kind of the part of the year where suddenly, like, a handful of guys pop up. Usually, northern players who had a good high school season, or guys who weren't seen a ton in the showcase circuit, and this is where your Jackson Merrills show up from out of nowhere, and your Michael Olivettos and things like that. So keeping an eye out for those guys.
Yeah. But we'll, like I said, between that and Sears, hopefully Sears comes back to Erie. We'll find out tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm sure there'll be a whole plethora of roster moves in between the system. Who knows? Restock of the farm system. Absolutely. Stay close, everybody. Have a good night. We'll talk to you soon.